welcome back to the Bone Pun Zone. Damn it, I already stumbled. I'm Jade Star.
I'm dying.
I mean, we're all dying, Olish. I mean, are you just, like, bone tired? I don't mean to, like, rattle you. But I've got, like...
Osteoporosis is a real condition that affects the quality of life of millions of people every year. So those militia are gonna eat shit.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But before they do, hey, do you know what a skeleton's favorite plant is? It's the bonsai tree.
That's not even how that's pronounced.
Not a fan of that? Fine. What about the spine tree?
I like how in Australia there's a tree that's called the dynamite tree.
Is that the one that, like, cracks? It has, like, incredibly flammable, oily sap?
Kind of. It actually, like, something about it causes it to combust.
Yeah.
But, like, just parts of it will combust. Sort of like, you know, if you put soup or something cheesy in the microwave, it'll pop before it ever actually really gets hot.
Okay.
Because some parts of it are locally getting very hot. The consequence of this is that it's got, like, spines all over it. And so it'll randomly just fire spines.
That's amazing.
Out of nowhere. So they're incredibly dangerous to be near.
That is an incredibly Australian thing.
Yeah, it's just a tree that randomly decides to shoot you. I'm honestly surprised that didn't get added to, like, this game at some point with, like, the weird hell spiders that came in the DLC.
Right. Well, Rip Militia number 1.
Yeah,
but,
Militia.
I mean, he got that Necro Savant to come forward in front of his line of skeletons.
Oh, yeah.
That's kind of a tactical mistake. Like, he's some sort of bonehead. Oh, a second shot missed, though.
And he dodged?
Yeah, somehow he missed the militia there.
Militia and Necrosavants just normally don't. I mean, they mix really well from the Necrosavant's point of view.
Hey, so Skeleton walks into a bar. He orders a beer and a mop. Well, goodbye, brave militia man.
Yeah.
Just fucking charge into those skeletons. At least these guys are like, hey, we got shields.
Yeah, no, he's got a cleaver.
God damn it, guys. What the fuck is this joke? That's not a skeleton pun. I'm looking these up while we're going. But holy shit. Hey, Osh, what's the difference between a skeleton and a baby?
Now I'm curious.
I don't set the skeleton on fire. Who the fuck submitted this fucking joke?
That's... I mean, I guess it's technically a skeleton joke.
Fuck.
I mean, like, that's halfway into, like, the really bad baby jokes.
Yeah. Like, what's the joke between, or what's the difference between,
like, how do you...
a Porsche and a dead baby? I don't have a dead baby in my garage. See, I tell it backwards because I have a Porsche.
Yeah, how do you...
Before anyone thinks I'm super wealthy, it was a hand-me-down from my dad. It's an 83.
Like, how do you get a baby into a bathtub?
With a blender or something? What's the terrible punchline here?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's with a blender.
Okay.
How do you get it out again?
Plunger?
Tortilla chips.
Ah! That's...
This is a can of worms that you're opening up with skeleton jokes. I may not know that many skeleton puns, but goddammit do I know a lot of dead baby jokes.
Oh, man. I think I've like exhausted my Google search results of shitty skeleton puns so far. Because I'm just seeing a lot of repeats now.
I mean,
Rip.
if the Necrosavants hadn't like jumped the gun so quickly, this would actually be a really dangerous fight.
Yeah, a couple of them got healed by eating peasants, but like no, those two down there are grossly out of position. Really, they're isolated. Fleshnok can hold his own, although fucking McGain whiffed. But also,
yeah,
the archers can hit them.
Well, the fact that you had to bring archers at all.
Oh yeah.
I mean, they're really vulnerable because if the Necrosavants decided to pop over,
yeah,
it's pretty much a guaranteed hit.
They're not that vulnerable, but yeah, they're much more likely to be hit than anything else.
Well, if there's one constant that you'll find across everybody's archer builds, it's that they don't take melee defense.
Yeah, right.
Got too many other things.
Yeah. That's also why I was keeping Nabster next to them. Just that they did teleport there. At least there was somebody there to help defend them.
Yeah, and I imagine that probably helped a little bit, because it didn't give them a good place to teleport into, or there wasn't somebody right next to them.
Right. Either that or they were more interested in the militia, who had even less defense, probably less armor. One of them was an archer up there, but Travelogue is now taking.
Right. Yeah, but I mean, that was, what, 3 Necrosavants?
Yeah.
I have it completely miscounted. And they just ran ahead.
Yeah, right.
I mean, the bulk of the forces are these ancient legionaries, which, again, you've got, a decent number of pikemen. And just overall, it's just a solid amount that could, in theory, tire your guys out, especially if you have to fuck around chasing Necrosavants in the back line. But you don't. So this becomes much like the first video.
Yeah, now that they're
sorry
dead,
you blew all of your bone puns.
Yeah.
Oh, dangerous flanking maneuver by Travelogue.
Well, if he can get there, he can just start doing the overhead cleave down the line of pikemen.
Oh yeah, he's actually not really any much more vulnerable beyond potentially them like actually surrounding him, in which case he just starts doing the wide cleave.
Right.
Because Travelogue has as much melee defense as your shield people.
And he has dodge, which doesn't show up in the screenshots from the character page outside of combat.
Yeah, but he's reasonably heavily armored.
Yeah, and dodge is also variable, depending on fatigue and all that.
Yeah, he's getting a little bit out of it, but yeah, no, I mean this is when we get talking about the quality of troops. Is like your two-handers are the elites, but if you had put your two-handers on the line, with the shield, they would be even more impenetrable.
Right. And there are certainly builds where people do that and try to just put the absolute heaviest armor on them, like plate mail, full closed, great helm, and heater shield or something. And it's just you can't touch them in melee, and if you do, you're gonna have to hit them like 5 more times before they feel it.
Yeah, and ultimately, especially with some of the stuff the DLC brings up, there's really 2 schools of thought, which is that you maximize your chance to dodge and reduce the number of incoming hits, or you maximize your ability to survive hits knowing that you're going to take some.
Yeah.
Because one of the changes, I think it was a change in the DLC, was the way Nimble worked. And Nimble essentially just gives you flat damage reduction. A percentage damage reduction.
I don't know
based
if that
on
changed
how much
between the
remaining
DLC.
fatigue.
Nimble was based on how much encumbrance you have from gear. There's a chance you would get a glancing blow, which would be for only 50% damage. At least that's how it works now. I don't know if that got changed into the DLC.
In the DLC, it was changed. It's no longer a chance for a glancing blow. It's just based on how unencumbered you are. You got a percentage physical damage reduction, and it scaled up pretty high. They reduced it a couple of times in patches. Because when the DLC dropped, like, that was the build. Everybody took Nimble, because even if you were wearing armor, it was still more damage reduction on top of that. One of the main differences behind, at least as far as Nimble goes, is that it only applies to damage to your health. So it doesn't reduce damage to your armor.
Okay.
So it only applied to anything that got through your armor, which meant that actually wearing armor was kind of an economic loss, because you were better off just having the larger multiplier to your effective hit points. And your hit points don't cost anything to replenish. Armor is expensive to repair. In total survivability, going with the heaviest armor with, Juggernaut and the thing that reduces the damage by a percentage of your, 10% of your total armor.
Battleforged?
Battleforged, yeah. You were still better off, in survivability by going that route, but, the economic gap between fielding a Battleforged person over a period of time versus a Nimble person, you were saving hundreds, if not thousands, of crowns.
On repair bills?
On repair bills, even before you consider that the cost of the armor is pretty substantial.
Yeah. I mean, I guess if you're doing that, you'd be investing into the HP stat every time you leveled up, which is...
Well, yeah, that's the other thing. It's another stat that you're incentivized, because it's no longer 2 to 4 or 3 to 5 hit points per pick. It's 3 to 5 and then multiplied by an extra 50% or 60%.
There's still one thing that I kind of bothers me towards high HP enemies towards the end game, is that it's not really reasonable that any of my guys are going to be going around with nearly the kinds of HP that the enemies you fight at this point are. The Ancient Legionary's armor is, pretty comparable to what we're wearing. I'm still wearing, really good medium armor, but it's still medium armor. 150 from the Male Harbor is not, heavy armor when there's easily, 230 scale or, 300 plate. I think there's even more than that. But their HP pools are so huge. So we have equivalent armor, but then they have maybe 2 or 3 times the amount of raw HP, and I mean, in the case of orcs, it's just humongous gaps. An orc warrior, I think, has 300 HP, which is 5 times my best brother.
And to some extent, I mean, I think it could have benefited by having a more reasonable split between armor and hit points, or done something other than just inflating the hit point values, because as is, your armor penetrating weapons, the stuff that does a good chunk of damage through armor, is really only good against humanoid opponents. Doing 20% of damage through armor, or 30% of damage through armor, doesn't mean a whole lot to the undead, because you're going to break their armor before you kill them.
You're going to do that to almost anything anyway. I mean, Warhammers do 10 damage guaranteed to HP through armor every time they hit. And I can basically just discount that entirely, because you're going to break their armor before you kill them. Either that, or you have a squad of nothing but Warhammers and somebody with a shit ton of armor.
Well, right, and we're not saying it because this isn't that type of endgame crisis, but the very, very heavily armored opponents that you get when you're doing the, Noble House crisis, those are guys that can actually die before you break their armor. If you've got somebody up with, a Warhammer, or, a military pick, something with high armor penetration,
right?
They don't really have much more in the way of hit points than you do. So their armor can be several times their hit point pool.
I'm still sad I ran out of bone puns. But hey, we did it. We the third wave of invaders was stopped, including some Nectar Savants this time. That will, thankfully, spoiler, be the last attack on Westerholz in this update.
Next update, more Siege of Westerholz.
Next update, no, if I did bone puns, what's next update gonna be? I don't know. We'll find more puns next update. Oh shit, I didn't even plug my delicious Bundaberg ginger beer that I've been enjoying while recording all of this wonderful commentary with Olish. It's delicious.
I think you mean Bundaberg.
Bundaberg?
Skeleton's favorite ginger beer?
Yeah. Bundabone. Bone.
Skeleton joke.
Thank you all for watching. We'll see you in the thread and next update.